Hello everyone and welcome to my latest video on some of my best tactics when playing as the Hunnic faction. Now the Huns are an extremely fun faction to play as. They rely very heavily on cavalry, and that means that there is constant movement, tactical withdrawals and charges, and control of skirmishing units that will use nearly the entire battlefield. Now I'll go over some of these strengths and weaknesses of the Hunnic faction, starting with a couple of key strengths. First and foremost being mobility. The Huns excel at spreading open the battlefield, splitting apart the main enemy line, isolating units and destroying them, which should be your main focus when attacking as the Huns. You also want to employ as often as possible the hit and run and hammer and anvil tactics. Now some of their biggest weaknesses are prolonged melee combat, forest maps, and the skirmishing units getting pushed out of the battle. Next, I will show you one of my most successful builds and the tactics that I use while playing it. You'll want to bring 2 units of defensive melee cavalry. Here I chose the noble Akatzeri Raiders. They have very good melee defense and an attack bonus versus cavalry. Both are very important for their role. Next I have 4 units of noble horse archers, an excellent skirmishing unit and your most important asset to constantly keep control over. I have brought 2 units of step-mounted tribespeople. This is your hit and run unit and will be used mainly to take out enemy ranged units as well as chase down enemy routing units. You'll also want to bring 2 units of shock cavalry to form the hammer for the hammer and anvil tactic. Here, I chose the White Huns for their exceptional charge bonus. These are your most important units. Now you'll need the anvil for the hammer and anvil tactic. I brought 4 units of Iranian spearmen. These will be used to soak up frontal damage and hold enemy infantry in place. Now for some tactics. First thing you want to do is group 2 units of noble horse archers with 1 unit of the defensive cavalry that you chose, and then place them into the simplex aces formation and position them out wide on each flank. You'll also want to be sure your archer cavalry are set to skirmish mode. This will keep them out of melee combat and out of harm's way. Next, you want to group together your anvil, or spearmen, in a single line, as keeping them together throughout the battle is essential. Next, you want to take your 2 units of shock cavalry. Now it's very important you keep them together and out of the main first combat. The reason being, they need to sneak around the flank and they form the hammer in the hammer and anvil. You don't want to lose these units early, as this tactic will not work without them. You only want to engage them after your spearmen or anvil have engaged their enemy melee and kept their attention and spears faced the right way. Now after moving my archer cavalry in range, you'll see why it's important to keep that defensive cavalry right next to them. Almost always, the enemy will respond by sending a cavalry unit or several melee units up on the hill to try to push your archers away. The reason you have the defensive melee cavalry with them is not to get kills, but to simply soak up damage and hold the enemy in place so that the archer cavalry can finish them and clean them up. Now it's also very important to keep your archer cavalry alive, as these are the units you will use to separate and isolate enemy units from the main battle line. As you can see here, this unit of enemy cavalry has been isolated and they will be wiped out very shortly. There is also a unit of archers that are marching up the hill to attack us, who will also be removed from the battle. Now as the battle is progressing, you can see that their melee have engaged my anvil, or my spearmen. It is at this point that I will use my step-mounted tribespeople, who have to this point been out of the battle, to swoop in behind and take out their archer units. Now with these cavalry, it's very important that you keep on moving. You do not stay in melee combat, even with archers, as they will lose units quickly. Simply pull back as I am here, and just continue to charge until they rout. And now for the third phase of the battle. As you can see, I have completely separated their army into 3 separate groups, leaving their melee alone and vulnerable. My anvil or spearmen are simply holding them in place. Here I have moved my shock cavalry, who haven't even been in the battle yet, to their flanks. And now it is a simple matter of just charging, retreating, charging, and retreating until you can get their entire melee line to retreat. This is what is known as the hammer and anvil tactic. Use it well and use it often. Here, we just simply continue to use the hammer and anvil until the rest of their melee line breaks. As you can see, my archer cavalry are spread out through the entire battlefield, which is also very important, keeping his cavalry at bay. Now that his main battle line has been broken, you'll notice that almost every unit he has is isolated and alone. Use this to pick them off and kill them one at a time. And at this point in the battle, it is simply a matter of cleaning up, chasing down broken or weakened units, and ending the fight. You can use your archer cavalry at this point, switch them to melee, take out any additional archers or routing units that you do see. Continue to hammer and anvil until all of the units break, and you will have yourself a victory as the Huns. I hope this video helped many of you find success and have some fun also while playing the Hunnic faction in Attila Total War. The tactics I used here can be used in the campaign mode or even in online multiplayer. They work well either way. If you liked the video, please like, don't forget to comment if you have anything to say, and subscribe for future videos. I will be doing one video for each faction on the tactics and playstyles that work best for them. I hope everyone has fun playing the Hunnic faction, and I'll see you next time.